Hi, Mrs. Torres. So, my name is Mallory Hernandez, and I'm Tommy's teacher. So nice to meet you. So, today we'll be discussing the comprehensive test of achievement that Tommy took around March. So, basically, an achievement test is a test that just is going to let me know if Tommy's learning like what he needs to be learning like throughout the year. So, before I start, like are there any questions that you have?
Yeah, I know that Tommy, he has trouble sitting down for a long period of time. How did he do during that time?
Okay, well, this test, it wasn't timed, so I don't think that he was really stressed out about it. I did have to tell him, like, you can't be getting up, like, a lot of times, but that's normal. Like, this was towards the end of the year, so they kind of get antsy, but he did fairly well throughout taking the test.
Okay.
So, before I begin, this top portion is known as the norm referenced information, and this bottom portion is the criterion referenced information. So we're going to go through the top and the bottom and go in more in depth with it. So basically, this top portion, the norm referenced info, it takes all of his scores and it compares his scores with other scores from other students that also took this test, like in the third grade as well. So in the norm group for this one, it was about 20,000 other students that you can see that Tommy's scores were compared to. And this bottom part is the criterion referenced, which is going to show us basically how he performed on specific skills throughout the test. Is that okay? Do you want me to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the norm referenced info, we have what's known as subtests, and basically it's just smaller tests that are broken down like from the overall, like the larger test. So the number of items is how many items were in each category, and the raw score is how many he scored correctly. So you can see here that in reading comprehension, there was a total of 40 items, and Tommy scored a raw score of 33, which means he had 33 correct responses. So moving on, you can see that in the national percentiles, he scored a 68. So I know that seems a little alarming, but if we look on the bell curve here, you can see that Tommy scored around this 68. So he's over here, and the average is about 50. So he's scoring higher than average, which is really good. So nothing to worry about.
Okay.
So let's see here. In total reading through spelling, this is what we call the basic battery, and the complete battery is just like the total number overall. So when we go to scaled scores, a scaled score is like just a score that's converted, and we can track his progress like over a long period of time versus just this one test. So on the reading comprehension, like we mentioned, he was 68th percentile, so which means he scored 68% better than other students, and he had a 548. So if we go back to the bell curve, about 548 is around here. So again, he is scoring above average, so that's really good. So we have this thing called bands, and it's basically the standard error of measurement. And every test has like a little bit of error in it, and the standard error of measurement, it like allows us to see that range of error. Do you have any questions?
What exactly do y'all mean by error in the test?
So basically, like we said that Tommy scored about in the 68th percentile, and so every test has some type of error in it. So we take Tommy's score and we add or subtract 3 to it. So he could either have scored in the 65th percentile or the 71st. So it just ranges. So he did score in the 68th, but it could have also been like we said, like plus or minus. So that just shows us like the range of it.
Okay.
So let's see. Moving forward, we're going to go down to the criterion referenced, and like I mentioned before, this is just going over like specific skill sets and like how he performed. So you can see here it says skills, and then raw score, like from earlier, is the number of responses that he had correctly, and then number NP is the number of possible items, which is also like how many total questions there were. And then this goes into low, medium, and high. So it's going to see where he ranged on it on a low, medium, high scale. So for literal comprehension, you can see that he had a raw score of 17, which means he got 17 questions correct out of 20, which puts him in about the medium range, which is good because we saw earlier that his reading comprehension is he's scoring a little above average. And in procedures, we see that math is where he seems to struggle a little bit. And you can see specifically here in measurement that out of 5, he scored, out of 8, he only scored 5 correctly, which puts him in the low range. So moving on to language, he does really, really well in language. We have under punctuation, he scored 10 correctly out of 11, which puts him in the high range. So under language, like there's no problems here. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, for measurement, is there? I noticed that he goes through his homework pretty fast. Is that something that you see in class as well?
Yeah, honestly, it is something, and like he should be scoring higher than he is here, but like you said, like he moves very quickly, so he misses like little things, which is causing him to score on the lower range, where he should probably be more on the more medium to high range. But we try to work with that in class. I tell him to slow down, like double check your work. But sometimes we take a test at the end of the day and he's ready to go home. So, but based off of everything that we covered today, I think that we both can work collaboratively to help like Tommy in his weaker areas like measurement and like math and where he is struggling a little bit more. But on my end, I will try to take more time to work with him, like a one-on-one, like pull him aside, maybe do like read the test to him so that way he can't miss like certain little things, like the not questions that seem to like trick the kids a little bit. We can do that, and maybe on your end, you can like double check his homework. And like we said, like he moves too fast sometimes, so we could probably like work with him to make sure that he slows down a little bit more. Although he did score really, really well in all of his reading areas, but do you read to him at home?
We do every now and then, not as much as I probably should.
Okay, well that's good. As long as he's getting read to, or if you let him read to you, like that's gonna work well, and we can keep him on that high scale. But so I have a handout here with all of the reference, like all the information that I covered today, like raw scores, norm reference info, like just to let you know, so that way if we ever go over a test again, like you'll have that with you. So do you have any questions?
Do you think for his math, is this something that will improve the next year with me helping him go through, like make sure he goes slowly through his homework and you helping him? Or is this something we're going to have to worry about?
I really think that if we just take the time to work more one-on-one with him, like on my end and your end, that I think that he will improve, because it really is just him moving too fast and not thinking and not going back and double checking his work. So I think that is something that will improve, but it's not something that's holding him back either. But anyways, thank you so much for coming down today. Like I really enjoyed having you here. But if you think of any questions that you have on from like here to the future, like please don't hesitate to call or email me. Like we're always available.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.